And we're trying again. Oops. Let me adjust my camera here. And we're trying again. Hello, everybody. That was a little bit of a pain. So you know how this goes. I go live and then things screw up. Sorry. I'm actually trying to adjust the lighting here. Oops. Let's see. My light broke. I'm not buying a new one. It's the portable light I use when I travel. So since I'm not coming back here again after the next month ever again, so there's no point. This is the last month you get to see the paneling. Good enough. It's got me a little off center. Like I'm kind of looking this way, but I think you guys will live. Yeah, it just totally. Oh, actually, I can try to make it centered. Hold on. I'm going to be a perfectionist here. There. But I'm going to put that there. Hang on, guys. Like I said, everything got goofy on me. All right, I think that's pretty good. I can't even see if it's cutting off the top of my head. Is it cutting off the top of my head a little bit? All right, I'm going to stop messing with this. Oh my God, this is pissing me off. All right, there we go. Jesus Christ. Like I said, I screwed up. I broke my light the other day, moving stuff around at my mom's house. Totally broke the light. Ugh, you know what? This is good enough. Yes, we agree. The camera's good enough angle and everything. It's pissing me off. Oh my God. Okay. Well, because also it's a little bright, which I'm going to have to make it lower because I just totally broke the camera. Not the camera. I broke the lighting that I've got. So now the ring is on its own and I'm trying to like hang it on things so that it works, but it's moving the camera. It's good enough, but it's right in front of my face. And you know how much I hate the lighting. I don't like looking at the light. So it's a little bit in my face, which I'm not happy about, but it's okay. All right, good enough. Let me get TikTok rolling. And of course, again, I forgot to set it for the audio being the microphone on my phone because we learned last time that works better. We're doing TikTok. We've just been having a little meltdown right here. So I'm getting TikTok going right now. Hang on. I've got to, because we did our thing this weekend, I've got to update the name. 2024 election. Oops. Come on. What are you doing here? There it is. And Ukraine. It's typing is being evil on my TikTok. 2024 election and Ukraine. And I have no battery left. That's going to be fun. I have 27% left on my battery on TikTok. Oh my God, just shoot me. Just freaking shoot me. Oh my God. All right, guys, here's what we're going to do. I have to disconnect my line from my phone. That is probably going to turn off my camera. Let's see if it does. I think it will. And if it does, I have to start YouTube all over again. Let's see. It did. Yep. Oh, wait. Oh, it's still working. Oh, okay. Just tell me on, am I correct on YouTube? You're still seeing me. Oh, except now it's eating off my battery, which I'm not thrilled about, but I can do that for one show at least. Okay, I can literally see that it's got me like off the map here. It keeps lowering it like slowly as I'm talking. Okay, stop it, evil little light. All right, there we go. You know what? Good enough. I'm going to stop futzing. It's pissing me off. Like I said, I broke the light and I am too cheap. I am not going to spend another like $70 for another stupid light that I'm going to use for a month here in Chicago. All right, it's still there. I'm surprised, although it's eating my battery on my phone, but I'll live with that. Okay, let me get, you guys know I get very annoyed when the tech stuff doesn't work. It always pisses me off. I'm like, grr. All right, doing a quick little gift selection on TikTok. And then we are ready, Freddy. Hang on here. All right. Play for you. What does that do? I don't know what that does. We're going to find out what play for you does. I don't remember what that does. All right. There we go. All right. TikTok is going live. Whew. Sticky tape? I don't know if sticky tape's going to do it. It might, but I'm not convinced. Anyway, all right. TikTokers are joining us. All is better in the universe. I still need like a tranquilizer, but we're doing better. All right. Turn off the mirror. There we go. Phew. Hey, TikTokers, I was having some technical difficulties, so they are resolved, kind of. Oh, man. Hey, everyone. Now, I will say this. What's interesting, I was telling everybody on YouTube, my lighting broke. I have one of those lights on a tripod that I bought, and I broke it this weekend, which I'm very annoyed. And I'm not going to buy one just for a month. So the light is now a halo floating in the sky, and I've got it hanging on my computer. But what's funny is, because of the location of my computer, it's doing something interesting. It's making it look like that lighting you see on the evening news, because they have a very bright light like right below people on the evening news a lot of time. Thank you, Succeed. Thank you, Dawn. And you'll see it often on the evening news, and it throws this kind of warm light up. And even though the light is actually more in front of me like this, it's doing a much warmer, brighter lighting today than normal. I don't know if it's better or worse, but it's kind of funny. Anyway, yes, I had a little bit of a technical glitch getting online today. We're better now. Lots of gifts coming in already. Sexseed, Elizabeth, Evra, Carol, Chezak, Dawn, Succeed Again, Jen, Pedro, Catherine, Martin, Vicky, and John S. Thank you all for the gifts on TikTok. Yes, I'm feeling a little better now. Okay. All right. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, Daniel. Mark Starr, Diana, Kim, lots of TikTokers. Thank you, TikTokers, for all the gifts coming in. Thank you, Courtney. Oh, and that's the little guitar thing. Okay. Thank you, Carol. I was wondering what I picked it today, but I wasn't sure kind of what the guitar thing was. Thank you, Courtney. So welcome everybody. Oh, another busy day. You know my life here. Late start, yes, because we had a little technical malfunction. So my day has been horribly busy, Walden. A little better now that I'm sitting with you. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Kanji person. I just, like I said, working on my mother's estate. I kid you not, 80 to 90% of my day is doing estate stuff. I cannot believe. I see why people get paid for this. I mean, they say people can get paid, like you're supposed to be paid, but I'm not going to take money. But it's like, oh my God, it just is never ending. It's going, but it's never ending. So, hey, Daniela. I fear we have one more month to go, and then I move back to DC. The 4 beans? I don't know what the 4 beans are. Do you mean the bean? I'm not sure what you mean by the 4 beans. What are the 4 beans? You have to fill me in on that one. Anyway, so welcome everybody. I'm putting a little chapstick on. I got more doggy tranquilizers. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Maddie. I have little pills of trazodone I get my dog for when we travel, when we fly, or during thunderstorms. And I was running low, and I had a thought, and I called the local pharmacy. 4 new gifts. Oh, thanks, Joshua. I did not know that. Hey, Ellen, thank you for the gift. And I called the local pharmacy here in Chicago, the Jewel, Osco, and they said, sure, we'll fill a dog prescription, because back in DC, they thought I was crazy. I love DC. Like, literally thought I was insane when I called and said, do you guys fill dog prescriptions? They were like, no. Here, she goes, of course we do. Just bring the prescription. So I brought the prescription in. It was like, $12. I mean, probably could have been. I'm guessing probably Jewel was a little expensive, because it was probably, I don't know if it was 15 pills or whatever. It's a little pricey. But for the dog, she eats like a quarter of a pill, but still. But yeah, no, my pharmacist in DC thought that was crazy when I brought in a dog prescription. So, and of course it's cheaper than the vet. I was like, I don't want to pay the vet $25 for the same amount, So little known fact. Anybody who doesn't know, feel free to ask your pharmacy if they fill pet prescriptions. But again, my DC one wouldn't do it. Maybe I didn't ask around enough. That's possible too. All right, guys, let's get rolling. So welcome everybody. Like I said, today's been a busy day. And then I had to have, I forgot about Chewy. You're right about that. I forgot I could have just sent it to Chewy probably. Oh, Costco too. That's interesting. Oh, that's it. Costco would have been good. Costco probably would have been cheapest. Oh, well. I prefer being frugal as well. So anyway, welcome, guys. This is our daily show. We talk about the U.S. election latest. We talk about the war in Ukraine. As always, we'll start with the U.S. election first. Why the watermelon cup? Why not? I may get one of these. I may take one of these. These were my mom's, and I just think they're really cool. She's got two of them. Aren't they the funnest thing? I may take one just to have one. I just think it's a beautiful little cup, isn't it? Why? Because it has water in it, but it's also my mom's, which is cute. So yes, let's get rolling, guys. So we'll start talking about the election. Then we will do the war in Ukraine. The vice presidential debate is next Tuesday, October 1st. We will, it already is my inheritance bar. So long story there. The vice presidential debate is next Tuesday, in a week. The debate is happening probably, I've got to check. Is it 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock? Do we know yet, guys, what time the debate is? Hey, Boppo in Gothenburg. Well, I'm going to do my show that evening. We're going to watch the debate again together. It'll be subscriber only. That's how we did it last time, as a thank you to the subscribers. Thank you, Richard, for the gifts. Thank you, Lamb Chop. And I am flying to D.C. on Saturday to get winter clothes, come back to Chicago Tuesday, just because I literally only have summer clothes here right now, and I'm probably stuck here through October. And it can get really cold, and it can snow in October here. But thank you, Ava. Thank you, Marsha. So I'm going to go to DC, like I said, on Saturday. Come back next Tuesday. I come back during the afternoon, so there will be no problem watching the debate that evening. Because at first I wasn't sure I could prepare for the show because I'm flying, but then I thought, I can watch the debate though. So we will be watching the debate. I'm still going to do subscriber only because I have to keep finding ways to thank the subscribers, because you guys are paying a month. I mean, obviously the gifters are paying too, but TikTok doesn't let me and YouTube doesn't let me figure it out otherwise. There's no way for me to give the gifters a special gift. So subscribers will join me for a special show to watch the debates a week from tomorrow. All right, let's get rolling here. According to TikTok, if you're showing the debate, you have to have commentary a lot and you will not violate. Interesting. Well, I typically don't show the debate because it would get upset. So what I was doing was showing me watching the debate because I figured that TikTok would get upset. So that's what we're going to do. I may pick up auction stuff, Mama. I don't know. It's honestly, this has been, I mean, I don't like losing the money, but I am losing my mind dealing with my mother's estate. The last thing I want to do is now having to take photos and write out descriptions of auction items mail them out each week, print out the labels. I cannot believe how busy I've been doing this estate stuff today as well. I mean, I had like an hour to prepare for the show. Normally I will prepare for the show like several hours. I can't, and it sucks because the auctions are money for me, but I'm going to have to wait on the auction stuff till I get back. And there's good stuff coming though. I think we have more camouflage nets. I think we are pausing the auctions until everything is done. I mean, that's what we're doing. But I've got a lot of cool new stuff coming. Thank you, Marsha, for the gift. Thank you, Adventures. So so that'll be nice. To finally get those rolling again. Thank you, Brian. Thanks to Marge, Marsha, Ava. I think I caught up with you guys. Richard, Lamb Chop. Yes. So yes, that's what's going on. Yes, Rainbow. Yeah. I try not to talk about it a lot, but yes. How come I didn't have some of the estate already done? Oh, I mean, it doesn't happen until it happens. What do you mean? I mean, if this were Bewitched or Charmed and I could go like that and have it done, I would. But it takes. Thank you, Rainbow. It takes a horrific amount of time. There's too much stuff, and I've got siblings, and we're going through stuff, and it just takes time. It's also because you're going through stuff and look. I mean, I tell sort of the story, but if you guys ever have to deal with like your parents' estate, right, when they die, and you've got like tons of clothing and stuff. Thank you, Larissa. And my sister had told me, she goes, we've got to go through every pocket of Mom's clothes. And I said, why? She goes, there might be money inside. I said, get out of here. We're going through 6 garbage bags of Mom's clothes. Mom had a lot of great clothes. And what do you know? in one pocket, of a dress that mom made in the 1960s, which is the best part. It's a dress she made. Thank you, High Tide. There's $5,000 worth of jewelry. Okay. We are not a rich family. It is not normal for us to just find $5,000 in jewelry. There was $5,000 freaking dollars in jewelry. And it was some of her nicest stuff. She had a beautiful gold chain. She had this beautiful diamond ring of my grandmother's that my grandfather had got her like in the 1930s or something. And we thought like the ring we thought was lost. Mom stowed it away to be careful in the dress she made in the 1960s. Thinking, thank you, Running, that, oh, right, where would be the most obvious place for her to remember? Sure, a pocket, but what pocket? Pick the dress you made 60 years ago, right? That's the way. Well, she didn't tell us. So we found 5,000 in jewelry. So after that, I was like, my sister, I was like, okay, you win that discussion. We are checking everything. But now we've been going through everything. We found like $300, which was nice. But we are finding some nice family stuff as well, So yeah, so that's not helping because now we're going through everything, Your dad hid important papers in the vacuum cleaner bag. Okay, that's making me laugh. Oh my God. Check purses. Oh yeah. She checked all the purses, of course. You found $20,000 behind your grandparents' microwave when helping them clean once. Oh my God. Well, that's true. See, like my mom's generation, they typically wouldn't store that much cash in the house that we know of. Whereas, the grandparents' generation, that's a different story. That's a different story. Jars of money in heating vents. I mean, that's the problem is you don't, but the vacuum bag. Oh my God. That's crazy. Yeah, no, we're going the Bibles. We do. You know what? I've been through a lot of the books. I found a couple interesting things. I've been through all the books, almost all. I didn't look through that's funny. I didn't look through the Bibles. I didn't think of that. You're right. A Bible would be an obvious place to store money, potentially. Didn't even think of that. Your grandfather had over $100,000 in his trailer all over the place. I love that. Kind of like mom had 10,000 in paper bags in her basement. See, the problem is you're dealing, and again, mom was a depression baby. So you're dealing with the depression babies and potentially dad too. You're potentially thinking, okay, maybe we keep some money at home just to be safe. Yeah, your great grandfather hid money under the floorboards. No, I mean, it's a crazy 7,000 in a fake Bible. Okay, now you're all just scaring me. Board games? Oh God, stop. Stop. Yeah, we're gonna have to look. We're gonna have to look through. I didn't even think you're at the dressers. Oh my God. All right, we're pulling out all the dressers drawers. I think we did actually. I think we did, but we're gonna have to make sure we do. Yeah. It's crazy. Scrabble and we do actually. The board games are right up here. I didn't even think of going through the board games. Well, no, but Betsy, it made sense. Literally, my mom picked to hide the jewelry. She picked one of her dresses. Makes sense. She picked the dress she made in like 1960 because back then she made her own clothes. We weren't poor. Mom was an artist. She liked to make things. She made clothes for us. She would buy those women would buy those patterns. Maybe they still do. They would buy those patterns back then and make their own clothing. And so it's a dress she made. And I'm sure from her perspective, the most unique outfit in mom's closet was the dress she made in the 1960s. I don't think we saw any other clothing she had made. So it made sense that that's where she put it, but she forgot. She told my sister the ring was lost. Oh my God. Hummel dolls in the drop ceiling. Oh my God. That's, you didn't know. I mean, it's just 3,000 in a storage container in the garage. Oh God. Oh, that's scary. Yeah. The garage is its own mess. The garage is its own mess. Oh my God. Don't even scare me, guys. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that on YouTube. Yeah, it's just, oh my God, in the encyclopedia. I didn't even think of that. We have the encyclopedia. We've got the encyclopedias too. You guys are like, I'm never going to get this done. You're all, because it's true though. We've got to go through. I think we pulled out the drawers, but I don't think we pulled out all of them. I didn't even think of going through the encyclopedia, but you're right. You're right. They could do some kind of crazy thing like that. You wore shirts with tags made by mom? Oh, that's hilarious. She would put a tag in. I love that. I freaking love that. That's hilarious. Yeah, Hummels are not worth Hummels. No, Hummels I think have some value, but the value might be $50 to $100. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff. Like mom has wonderful Waterford. If my siblings agree, I'm going to get her Waterford water glasses. Like I like having dinner parties, so I'm trying to kind of get stuff that's useful. Like I don't want to get anything that goes on a desk because I have enough crap. You know what I mean? Even though it's mom's. But like her Waterford water glasses are very pretty. But the Yasu Mike, and they're, they still have value though. I mean, like Waterford water glasses are worth like $40 each, which is actually, I mean, for a water glass, that's a lot of money, right? But they're Waterfords. These things, I don't know what the hell. I mean, I've been doing all the Googling on what they sell for now on eBay. God knows what they Waterford used to go for, right? I don't even know like what somebody probably paid for a Waterford, or at least she paid the same amount of money in the 1950s, right, for her wedding gift, But what do you do? I mean, it's still not cheap, and they're beautiful. I mean, I'm happy because I don't even have nice water glasses, and I do like to have dinner parties. So it'll be nice. It'll be nice. What if I find another donkey? I know. Anyway, see, we should have had this discussion the other night when I wasn't able to prepare and we did a hangout. This conversation is more my typical hangout conversation I do with you guys when we basically just hang and talk. Check all books. I am checking all books. I did not check all magazines. Don't scare me. I did check all books though. The thing is, the Waterford's very pretty. I mean, I laugh because it's packed up right now, or I would show you. My mom offered me years ago. She got some beautiful Waterford wine glasses, and I thought, oh, that could be pretty, because like I don't mind the old stuff. Like I know sometimes young people want stuff that looks a lot younger. I think the Waterford stuff is very pretty, but the Waterford wine glasses are. I looked at them. I was like, Mom, these can't be wine glasses. She goes, they are. She said we didn't drink as much in the 1950s because she got them as wedding gifts. Her Waterford wine glasses are 3.5 ounces. Guys, I'm afraid of asking my computer for it to cut me off. Hey, Siri. It's not going to answer. How many milliliters is 3.5 ounces, guys? Does somebody want to check just so we can tell the Europeans? They're ridiculously small. Like I can't use them as wine glasses. They're like, maybe they're cordials. I mean, they were wine glasses, but they were like white wine glasses. 3.5 ounces. I mean, guys, it's this big. 100 mils. It's the smallest thing you've ever seen in your life. So people are all saying about 100 milliliters. It's just too small to be a wine glass. A communion. It's a wine glass for a baby. Yeah, it just doesn't work. And of course, but it's a wine glass, so it's on a stem and it has the glass on top, and they're really pretty, but they're so small. And she said we didn't drink as much in the 50s. Like that's what they are. Yeah, but I just don't need them. I don't want stuff. You know what I mean? I'd rather have the grandkids take some of it, or we're gonna estate sale it, because let the grandkids if they want it. That way they get. I mean, and for them it's kind of neat if they can get Waterford, or my siblings if they want it. I don't think any of them. Well, they both got married, so I think a lot of them have stuff from their weddings and stuff. But their kids may like it, which will be nice, But no, they're. I'm literally trying to get stuff that I can use that will remind me of my mom. So like paintings on the wall, the wine glasses. I sort of was convinced in the last day to, again, we're going to negotiate with the siblings. I don't want to say it's mine. We're have to check with them. But mom's formal dinner dishes. Because I've got nice Pfalzgraf black dishes. They're not formal, they're nice. And I've never had nice dinner dishes, because I do like having dinner parties. And they're beautiful. And again, I Googled, I think they may also be $40 a plate. I have to double check. I think $40 a plate. I Googled it, which is not small, right? But they're beautiful. And I think it would be lovely for like dinner parties and stuff. And again, I like that. Like having mom's plates for a dinner party, I think is neat. Anyway, so that's kind of the stuff that I prefer, is stuff that I can use. And rather than like something you just put in a drawer and what are you going to, that you're never going to look at, I mean, because you think you want to have it, but there are 3 of us, Paula. So anyway, it sucks. I mean, obviously, it just sucks. Anyway, all right, guys, let's keep going. I know, and Mustard's here today too. So, and you're behaving, Mustard. Colonel Mustard is my usual benchmark for when we're having too much fun talking about unrelated topics. He kind of jumps in angrily. He's like the angry monkey on The Simpsons. Start talking about Ukraine. So, yeah, some people are having buffering issues on TikTok. If you are, try to leave and come back. I'm told that might help. But hopefully. Well, we'll do a show when I get back to DC. I can show you guys some of Mom's stuff that I take home, because it's a lot. There's just a lot of very pretty stuff, which I think is neat. Like I said, the dishes are just gorgeous. The water glasses are just gorgeous too. The Waterford water glasses. There's a lot of neat stuff. I was surprised, actually. Again, this is worth being just a different show. She's got Waterford. It's probably all Waterford, but those like cognac decanter things, right? That you put cognac in, right? That they're kind of, crystal, whatever. And I was really surprised. Like, there's a colored one, a green one, that's actually worth several $100s. And I'm laughing because it looks like Murano glass to me. It's like a green decanter. It looks like Murano glass. And I love Murano glass, but it also looks like some old grandma's house. I mean, some old Italian grandmother's house. You know what I mean? Where you're like, okay. The green one could be the radioactive. I don't know whether it goes back that old, Courtney. But ironically, it actually is one of the expensive ones. I mean, expensive, meaning it's worth several $100s. I wouldn't call it a carafe. It's just you probably put liquor in it. It's some kind of a thing that holds liquor, But it's funny that some of those things I don't want to say they've kept their value, but I was thinking $25 because who cares? And some of that stuff, uranium glass, the other thing is uranium glass goes back to the 1930s. I've got some uranium glass. My mom did have some of that. She gave me one of them years ago. I do have some of that. The thing is, it's inert. It's not radioactive. It's not like you're going to get cancer from it, at least from what I know. But it is pretty cool. Yeah. It is like an I Dream of Jeannie bottle, except it's not. It's clear. The Israel war, it's a long story, white boy out. Hard to answer also because, ultraviolet light, exactly. Hard to answer. What do I think about it? I mean, as I've told people before, that conflict was going on for a good 75 years, 80 years, a couple thousand, if you really want to go back. So that it's kind of hard to say, what do you think about it now? I think it's kind of a mess. Hey, dog, come here. You're okay. Come on over here. Tell me you don't need to go out. Come on over. Oh, don't do this to me. Okay. Hopefully she just wants to play. I think she wants to play. You're insane. What are you doing? I can't play with you now. I can show you guys. She's trying to do her little, she's doing her little play with me. What? And those are Mom's, most of those are Mom's paintings behind, although for you YouTubers or TikTokers looking, I can't play with you right now. No. We have a lot of Mom's paintings that, I can't really, I can try to move this. Okay, I'm going to move this anyway. We've got a lot of Mom's paintings and things that we're going to be, not everything Mom's, a lot, not that. 2 of those are not Mom's, but a lot of the rest of them are, that we're going to be, again, figuring out if any of us want, and then, I'm dropping my camera here, figuring if any of us want, and then the grandkids will hopefully want several of them, which will be nice, because obviously you don't want to get rid of art. Mom was a big artist. There we go. Okay, camera's good. Okay, you're okay. You ready? There you go. Okay, the dog gave up now. That was good. She was kind of pissed. So the dog was like, play with me. No, she suddenly, the problem is she does not, the dog doesn't have anyone to play with. When we're back home, she plays with Brutus, the neighbor Yorkie, and she likes Brutus's toys, and Brutus likes her toys. She does not like her own toys. So I can never get Sasha to actually do anything with her own toys. Harvey, well, we can start. I'll do a quick answer from Harvey, and then let's jump in with the election. Harvey said, why did I choose to do Ukraine to blog on? Well, I say blog on, meaning a lot of the videos I do on TikTok, although lately TikTok's been the election, but we still cover Ukraine each night. I'm not a fan of the Russians. That would be putting it lightly. Going back to my teenage years, I was not a fan of the Soviets. I thought it was a despicable country, and it is. The Soviet Union, horrific dictatorship, evil people. And my opinion never changed. It only cemented as I got older and learned more. Studied international relations, visited the Soviet Union, horrific place. Nice people living in a horrific dictatorship. And then visited Russia once it was free, 1993. And Russia became the Soviet Union again under Putin. And I am not a fan, to put it lightly. And when they invaded Ukraine, it pissed me off and I wanted to help. And I mean, I tried to help back in 2014, but it wasn't clear how. And the second time they invaded, I had already started on TikTok. And I thought, you know what? I already had a decent audience. I maybe had a couple 100,000 followers or something. And I thought, you know what? Let's do a show. Well, I just thought doing one show. Let's just do one show to talk about the war had just started about a week. And my background is foreign policy. So I thought, let's talk about the war, whatever. And we finished the show and people said, okay, same time tomorrow? And I went, no. What do you mean? Let's do it tomorrow too. And I was like, all right, tomorrow, but no more. So we did tomorrow. Well, we went 6 months doing it every night for an hour, every night. And then I lost my voice. So now we do 5 nights a week. We also do a Saturday show for the paid subscribers, a smaller show for you guys to thank you. And because the problem here is TikTok is creepy. TikTok bans you for saying things that are anti-Russian. So I can't give you my full opinion on Russia. Let's just say, as I said, I have been very knowledgeable about that country since the 1970s, when they used to oppress Jewish dissidents and other intellectuals. I know all about the Soviet Union. I've been to the Soviet Union. I know all about Russia today. Russia today is the Soviet Union. They're the same people. It's the same tactics. It's this much nicer than it is not as effective a dictatorship as the Soviet Union. Thank you, Adventures. Thank you, Jeddah. But it's the same country. They're the same people, and they do the same bad things. And good people need to stand up to them because they're a danger to the world. So there you go. And let's hope TikTok can handle foreign policy analysis, because they get a little upset when you criticize Russia. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that China owns it. Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Jeddah. Thank you, Adventures. Thank you, Jonathan. So that's why I do the show. All right, let's get moving here. Let's get moving. Washington Post. Let's talk about some polls first. Washington Post. Thank you, Marsha. With more post-debate polls rolling in, according to the Washington Post. Thank you for the gift there, Randy Fred. Our averages, meaning the Washington Post, continue to show a slight improvement for Vice President Harris compared to before the September 10th debate against Donald Trump. While she continues to be ahead of Trump by 2 percentage points nationally, her lead has ticked up slightly. So they're saying that she remains 2 points ahead of Trump nationally. It's going up slowly. The only thing is that's still really a statistical tie. And when you look at American elections, states matter, national votes don't matter. You don't win the American election by winning the national vote. You've got to win a certain number of states. So the national vote gives you a sense overall, but it doesn't really tell you who's going to win. Washington Post, speaking of the states, she also leads in 4 of the 7 battleground states that are most likely to sway the election, having recently taken a small lead in Nevada, while her lead in Pennsylvania, which is a hugely important state, has grown from 2 percentage points to 3. Trump continues to be ahead in Georgia and Arizona, while North Carolina is a tie. What is important to mention, which I'm going to tell you all, is pretty much every battleground state, every of the key 7 or 8 states that they're both vying for, that they both really, they need these states to win. Pretty much everyone's a tie because of this statistical tie. Polls typically have a margin of error of 2 or 3 points. So meaning if I'm ahead by 2 points, it's within the margin of error being 3 points. So you have to consider it a tie. So they're tied. in all the main states. They're tied. She's slightly ahead, which doesn't hurt, right? But it's still statistically a tie. So that's interesting. Dan Balls is a writer, a political writer for the Washington Post. I would call him their most senior political writer, really, Dan Balls. Very interesting guy, very smart. His take on all of this, he says a Washington Post poll showed Pennsylvania statistically tied, with Harris at 48% and Trump at 47% among likely voters. A Quinnipiac poll showed Harris at 51 and Trump at 45, much better. A Marist College poll put it at 49% each. So you're seeing the polls showing a little bit and then not much. He says when all the Pennsylvania polls are averaged together and across 4 different polling averages, Harris has a 1 to 2 point advantage in the state. Not significant, but well within the margin of error in a state that was decided by a point or less in both 2016 and 2020. So she's ahead. It's a hugely important state. She's still within the margin of error, meaning Trump could still actually be ahead. A key Republican state lawmaker in Nebraska said Monday that he does. Oh, this is good. Okay, so Nebraska, the Republicans were trying to cheat and steal the election by, I will try to explain this in a way that makes sense. As I said, you do not become president in America by winning the most votes. It doesn't work that way. You become president in America by winning a certain number of states. Thank you, Roldis Meister. We have 50 states. Some of the territories have 50 states and some territories. Each one gets a point value assigned. It's like Risk. Each one has point value. Washington, D.C. is worth 3 points. California is worth 54 points because it's the biggest state based on population. States in between could have 10 points, 11 points, 21 points. My Illinois, where I'm from, used to have maybe 21. Now it might be 19, 18 points. Where your population shifts, the points change. When you win a state, you win that state's points. If you win 270 points, you become president. It is a stupid system. Obviously, it's a stupid system, but you need to win 270 points. The reason winning the national vote doesn't matter is because in California, our largest state, if you win 51% of the vote, you get 54 points. If you win 99% of the vote, you get 54 points, right? There's no difference. So you could, in certain states, get a crazy margin of victory, which in the national numbers makes you really far ahead, but you don't win any more points from that state. So that's why you're always careful of national polls. You want to look at state polls. Nebraska is one of the 2 states, thank you, Patrick, along with Maine, that do it a little bit differently. If I recall correctly, in Nebraska, one of the main cities, or the main city, is kind of Democratic. It's kind of, or that part of the state is considered almost like its own state, and the rest of the state is considered a second state. Nebraska divides its points, they're called electoral votes, divides it, the total points for the state. Rather than you win the state, you win all the points, which most states do. Nebraska, if you win that city, you get those points. And if you win the rest of the state, you get those points, right? Well, Democrats last time won the city. They got some points in Nebraska, even though Nebraska is a Republican state. It's a Republican state with a huge Democratic city. So Republicans in Nebraska were trying to change the rules to make it so that it's winner take all, so that statewide, Nebraska has a majority of Republicans. So if they make it a statewide vote, Donald Trump gets all the points for the state. If they leave it the way it is, Kamala Harris will probably win the points for that city. So they're trying to change the rules to cheat in order to give Trump more of the points. Thank you, Patrick. One Republican state lawmaker in Nebraska is refusing to change. Basically, I think he thinks it's unfair. I mean, it is unfair. It is trying to steal the election. They're literally trying to change the rules to specifically help Donald Trump get this extra point. But it could be the difference between winning and losing the election. Yeah, and Annie said Maine said that if Nebraska did it, they would do it in reverse, because the Democrats, hopefully will win Maine, that they would switch it in reverse. I think, right? Is that, wait, I'm kind of forgetting. Was it switching it in reverse to go all the same kind of thing, right? Whereas winner take all, basically. In any case, so it looks like Nebraska is kind of in trouble right now. So it's the city of Omaha and Lincoln. Okay, thank you for that. I mean, it kind of figured. I was thinking Omaha, but I don't know Nebraska, so I didn't want to get it wrong. All right, a little bit more here. Mark Robinson. Oh my God. So that lieutenant governor of North Carolina, who got into trouble last week. He's running for governor. He's religious right, sort of extreme religious right, conservative, God, but God to a crazy degree. Hates transgender people, hates gays, hates abortion, except he had one, paid for one for his girlfriend, wants to ban all abortions, paid for one for his girlfriend. Oops. Hates transgenders people, wants to ban them and stuff. And then we found out last week that he's a huge fan of transgender pornography. He apparently was a frequent guest on a nude or naked Africa website, a website where people can go talk about sex with other people and get turned on. Mind you, he's a religious conservative Republican. Okay. On this site, he talked about sex a lot. He talked about it so much that the Washington Post is refusing to publish most of what they found that he wrote, which is journalistic malpractice. When someone's running for office, you don't hide things you found because they're so extreme, right? If it's so extreme, you have to publish it. You can't not publish it and say, oh, there's stuff that really disqualifies him, but it disqualifies him so much that we're not going to tell you. No, it is completely irresponsible and journalistic ethics-wise what the Washington Post is doing. They did publish stuff in which he called himself a black Nazi. He talked about wanting to bring back slavery. As I said, mentioned he loves transgender pornography. He also went into some detail of how why he loves transgender pornography. I can't say it because YouTube would probably be okay. TikTok would freak out. Well, most of his staff has now resigned, which is great. He's still running, of course. Thank you, Jorge. His staff resigned. We are only, 6.5 weeks to the election, or six. Is it 6 weeks or 7 from tomorrow? 6 or 7 weeks from tomorrow to the election. He's running for governor in the state. And what gets interesting is if he so turns people off that they don't vote. 6 weeks. Thank you, guys, Mackenzie and Kitchen. If he turns people off so much that they don't vote, then they may not show out to vote. And if they don't show up to vote, they're not voting for the Republicans who aren't voting, which means they're not voting for Donald Trump. They're not voting in the congressional elections. This could really hurt. And I should have said North Carolina is one of those battleground states, one of those hugely important states for Republicans and Democrats in the election. So this is a big deal. We use the expression screwed the pooch, but I worry about using it because in his case, in his case, who knows? But yeah, he's in real trouble. It's pretty funny. All right. Ukraine. It is day 941 of Vladimir Putin's special military operation in Ukraine. 3-day special military operation, day 941. Zelensky is in the U.S. right now. He's going to be meeting with Biden, with Kamala Harris. I forgot. He went. Oh, he did. He went in. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. I'm tired. He went, I believe, to Pennsylvania. I think it was Pennsylvania. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he went to visit some armament manufacturers where they're making artillery shells and things for Ukraine. I think he even signed one. It was very cute. But basically talked about, which is perfect for him, how important America is, how important our democracy is, thanking us. It was perfect. I thought it was Pennsylvania, Elizabeth. Yeah. The Russians overnight attacked an apartment building in Zaporizhia, injuring 22, including 2 children. They also attacked a senior citizen home over the weekend that killed several people. Again, classic Russia. Ukrainian forces reportedly broke through another section of the Russian border. Up until now, we know that Ukraine went and really pissed off the Russians by attacking. Sorry, guys, I'm tired. You know what? I'm trying not to have coffee late in the day, but when I don't have coffee late in the day, I start doing the show and start going, so sorry about that. The Ukrainians reportedly broke through another line of the Russians, of the Russian border. We know the Ukrainians already attacked Russia in the Kursk region, and they're holding some Russian land. They reportedly went through another part of the border and were successful crossing it. Let's see if they're able to grab more land. It'd be pretty cool if it is. Thank you, Randy, Fred, and Hazel for the gifts. Let me see what else. Nadia, Patrick, I'm going to keep yawning, guys. I just don't sleep well. Lately, I've been waking up. I wake up at like 4 and 5 o'clock, and then I roll in bed for an hour. It sucks. Thank you, Jorge. So that's why I'm always so tired. Sorry. But I may try. I mean, I could make more coffee. Mushroom coffee. That sounds illegal. Does it have caffeine? The problem is I need a little caffeine, but I don't want too much caffeine. So I've been trying to kind of, keep it. Actually, we were just at Trader Joe's. I thought they had their own. They don't have their own coffee pockets, do they? I thought they had them, like the Italian coffee pockets, which are like espresso and chocolate. Interesting question. Yeah, getting older, you don't sleep well as well. I know that's the fun thing too. But I should have bought some because, I could use something like that in the afternoon just as a little bit of a pick-me-up. What do you do? All right. Oh my God, I've got to stop yawning at you guys. I'm sorry. Sorry. What else going on? Oh, Ukraine this weekend. So this is kind of good. You people are funny. Ukraine this weekend. Oh, interesting, Luis. I didn't know that. Ukraine said on Saturday it hit 2 Russian munition depots overnight, which is very interesting because Ukraine, as you know, last week destroyed a major Russian. Thank you, Al. Appreciate it. Oh, very pretty gift. Thank you for that, Al. And thank you for the eyes, Melissa. The Ukrainians destroyed a major Russian ammunitions storage area, ammunitions depot, and armory last week, and they just hit 2 more, which is great. So they're causing a lot of problems, which is good, obviously for the Russians. Thank you, Al. I said, Melissa, Kat, thank you for the gifts. I'm trying to also get people I miss as I keep rolling. Thank you, Randy, Fred. What else we got? Ukraine's foreign minister. Oh, Ukraine's foreign minister is warning. Thank you, Eileen. The Ukrainians are afraid that Russia is going to plan strikes on Ukraine's nuclear facilities, its nuclear plants this winter. In essence, in order to cause basically a nuclear disaster. The intent from the Russians would be to knock out Ukraine's energy, cause a disaster. Thank you, Ginger. But also, thank you, Eileen. Also, I think to potentially cause radiation damage that goes into NATO countries. And again, this is what Russia likes to do. Russia likes to do, I'd call it almost hybrid. This is not the term for hybrid warfare. I don't think this is the definition for hybrid warfare. But when I say hybrid, I mean they like to do things that are gray. They like to do acts of war that are gray, right? Like not quite a hot red act of war where we go to war with them. Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Chazak, for the rock bean. But stuff like this where, if they attack a Ukrainian nuclear plant and blow it up, oh my God, first of all, they're going to say, oh my God, Ukraine did it. It was their own weapons. And then we sit there and have to figure out if it's true, even though we know Russia did it, but we got to make sure it's true. Then we find out the Russians do it and they say, you're right. We investigated. Oh my God, it was such an accident. We're so sorry. Right? Thank you, Russell. Do we declare war? Right? I mean, what do you do if they start doing stuff like this? And it is terrorism, as Peter just said. It's absolutely terrorism. Thank you, Randy. It's passive aggressive, but it's passive aggressive terrorism, really. Thank you, Nicola. And it's stuff that is horrific. It's a war crime, but it's short of dropping a nuclear weapon. So it puts us in a weird bind of what else do we do to Russia, right? Thank you, Adventures. Like if they blow up a nuclear plant, would we really go to war? Probably not. Would we really attack Russian troops in response? Probably not. I mean, it's very weird. It's very weird. It's very weird. Now, having said that, if they blow up a Ukrainian nuclear plant, I would be more than happy to help the Ukrainians blow up a Russian one in response. And I think they should, if that were to happen, if that does. Then you just turn and you go, okay, that's fine. Then we're going to help them blow up one of yours. But let's see what they do. But this is typical for the Russians and not surprising. Yes, we don't use all caps, Andrew, but your message was very cute. So we will give you 2 points for the message being cute, but we try not to use all capital letters because it looks like people are yelling. It's an internet thing. Thank you, Janice. You were excited. All right, be good. Be good. All right, what else we got, guys? Schultz met Zelensky. So Chairman Schultz, the German chancellor, the German chancellor, met Zelensky and said Germany will not let Kyiv use its weapons on Russian soil. Big surprise. The Germans have been a problem from day one. Germany's funny. Germany has been like the biggest weapons donor to Ukraine in Europe, and they've also been the biggest pain in the ass. This is sort of classic for Germany. Kind of like, actually, I would say very much like Joe Biden. Joe Biden, we were the biggest, supporter. Yeah, thanks, Russell. Thank you, Jimmy. We will be we are the biggest supporter of Ukraine, and we also are the biggest pain in the ass for Ukraine because we've been tying their hands behind their back, and we are responsible, along with the French and the Germans, for this war now being a stalemate. And the Germans were the biggest supporter in Europe, and they also tied Ukraine's hands behind its back, and refused to give them weapons earlier when they needed them. I mean, literally, the Germans, I would say the Americans were better than the Germans at the beginning, but still, the Germans and Scholz and Biden are on the same page. They don't want Putin to lose. And they're lucky he's not going to lose now, because Scholz and Biden and France as well helped ensure that this war is now stuck and the Ukrainians can't get their land back. So, yay. Thank you, Jay Shea. Netherlands says it is struggling to complete a Patriot weapon system it has pledged to Ukraine. They're trying to find all the parts to sort of put it together, and they can't quite figure out. I don't quite know why, but they can't quite figure it out. Japan scrambled fighter jets after a Russian plane, a military plane, entered Japanese airspace on September 23rd. Japan used flares after the Russian plane ignored early warnings. Now, this is dangerous stuff. You typically try not to enter the airspace of other countries. The Russians are doing it to be dicks. They're also doing it to test the Japanese. They want to see, this is all about testing the response time. How long does it take you? For example, if the Russians ever decide to bomb Japan, they want to know how far can they get inside Japan airspace before the Japanese do something, right? It's very dangerous. It's stupid stunts of the exact kind of thing the Russians would do. Thank you, Jay Shea. Thank you, Lane Jen, for the gifts. What else we got? Macron in France says, the French president, that relations with Russia should be reconsidered after the war in Ukraine. We will have to think about a new form of organization of Europe and rethink our relations with Russia after the war in Ukraine. I think that's a good thing. Thank you, Janice, for the gift. I think what Macron, which is kind of good actually, Europe historically really wants to get along with Russia. Now, it kind of makes sense because they're right there. Russia's on their border, right? In terms of a war, they're the ones that are going to be feeling it first, not us, right? Certainly if it's a conventional war, it's in Europe. If it's a nuclear war, it's all of us. And the Europeans have often, been a little too pro-appeasement in our view as Americans. Well, forget our view. Donald Trump and the Republicans are now more pro-appeasement than, than the Communist Party to the Russians and to America's enemies. So that's a whole other story now. But generally speaking, in any case, generally speaking. So it's interesting Macron France says this, because it sounds to me like he's saying that Russia is a danger. They're going to be a continuing danger, and Europe is going to need to reorganize its own defense because of Donald Trump, because America has shown it can no longer be counted on, because the Republican Party no longer believes in America or believes in defending America or fighting our enemies or defending our friends, that Europe is now going to have to establish its own defense system separate from the U.S., and that they are going to need to deal with Russia because Russia is now, sadly, once again, a longtime foe. They are going to be a long-term enemy of Europe, unfortunately, which is too bad. Now, for the Trump people and all the Republicans who now no longer believe in America, the problem you guys got is the world was a much safer place when America controlled what Europe did militarily, mostly controlled. If Europe creates its own bloc separate from us because you all destroyed NATO, which is what Donald Trump wants to do, the Europeans are going to do whatever the fuck they want. When it comes to the Middle East, Africa, anywhere, they're going to do whatever the fuck they want, and they're not going to care what we say. We had kind of control over everything, which was very convenient for, trying to be dominant in the world. If the Europeans are their own equal military power, and frankly, we don't control them, that's not good for us. But it's great for Europe. It's great for Europe. So, What do you do? Denmark is contributing $19.5 million to restore Ukraine's energy system. And this is a great final story. Both Russia and Belarus, which is the dictatorship next to Russia and basically Putin's little puppet, were excluded from the International Chess Federation in the week of Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and they just reiterated the ban. So Russia and Belarus cannot go to the international chess tournaments. Which really sucks for the Russians, because that's a whole, that's a whole thing. So anyway, all right. So what else is going on, guys? Let's talk. We'll talk about the election. We'll talk about Ukraine. We are here. Beep, 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 beep. Well, it is a big deal for Russia. Yeah, I mean, Ukraine. Well, it depends, actually. I mean, Europe becoming its own military power, again, it's a good thing. It's a bad thing for Russia if Europe is hawkish on Russia. It's a good thing for Russia if Europe is pandering to Russia. Yeah, Europe is its own military power, and therefore they can be nice to Russia and be friends all the time, because now they don't have to do what America says, right? So it could go that way. Or Macron in France thinks the Russians are, he thinks they're dangerous as hell. He's correct, but he really did sort of a 180 in terms of being very kind of wanting to pander to Russia, I would say, at the beginning of the war, and now thinks Putin's dangerous, which is very interesting. So what will happen when Putin is gone? We don't really know, Todd. It's just as likely that somebody else bad comes along. I've been saying for a while now, I would love the Russian people to prove me wrong, but after 300 years of really bad kind of dictatorship type governments, maybe this is who the Russians are. Maybe, I mean, to some degree, we're almost kind of being condescending to the Russian people, saying, oh, for 300 years, you've had kind of dictatorships, right? And they were brutal, and they'd kill people. They'd kill people in your own country. You'd go around the world and kill everybody, commit genocide, kill all your neighbors, want to oppress them, right? Whether it's Eastern Europe, oppressing them and making them dictatorships under the rope of Moscow, whether it's taking 14 other countries that Russia did in the Soviet Union and oppressed them. Maybe at some point when we keep saying, but the Russian people aren't to blame for their governments they've had for 300 years, maybe, and TikTok, don't get mad at me, because this should be a very simple analysis here. Maybe the Russian government is a reflection of the Russian people. That's what I'm saying. I think it is at this point. Kursk incursion, not much going on. The Russians claim they've got a couple towns back. I don't believe them. The Russian government is just pathologically lies in foreign policy. You literally can't believe what the Russian government says. So who knows? I mean, we're just not getting any details. And I just refuse to. The Russian government literally lies about everything, and lies about everything in terms of domestic and foreign policy. So I would not believe them saying they got some towns back. Maybe they did, but you can't believe them. You just can't believe them. So. Oh yeah, I did forget about that. That was pretty funny. Mike just mentioned on TikTok, one of their Satan II missiles just blew up. These are the nuclear weapons that Russia. Remember, I think it was Friday, I told you that a Putin ally, like one of the top Putin allies, came out and threatened they were going to nuke that if we let Ukraine use our weapons to strike Russia, like in Russian territory, they will nuke Strasbourg, they said in France, using their Satan II, the Sarmat, I think it's called, the Satan II missile. And as I said at the time, France has their own nukes. You won't be touching France. You want to nuke France, and you can kiss Moscow, St. Petersburg, and most of your cities goodbye. Second of all, France is protected by the British nuclear umbrella. They've got nukes, and the American nuclear umbrella. Russia's not nuking France anytime soon. But the funny part is they threatened to use their new Satan 2 weapon. It's called Sarmat in Russian or whatever. And the thing just blew up on the launch pad this weekend. It's new and it doesn't quite work very well, it seems. What a surprise. What a surprise. Russian weapons. I know the chair squeaks. There's nothing I can do about it. What a surprise that the Russian weapons, the Russian military just isn't quite working as well as it's supposed to. But I love that literally on Friday, they threatened to use the missile to like blow up the French. And this weekend, now mind you, it also makes me wonder if the French didn't go, oh, really? You're going to use that missile to blow us up? Boop, and the missile blew up itself. I just thought about it right now, but it would be very funny if the French had some kind of a role in making the missile blow up. I mean, it is pretty funny. If I were France, I'd be like, oh, I don't know. All I know is you said that missile was going to attack one of my cities. That was a threat. It's not attacking our cities anymore. Oh. I think they should too. Sword for Justice is saying, I think the U.S. should encourage the other former Soviet republics to move towards the West and eventually join NATO. The problem is Donald Trump doesn't believe in NATO. Donald Trump believes in Russia. The Republican Party now is a cult. They follow Trump. The Republican Party now no longer believes in NATO. They no longer believe in America. They no longer believe in America's defense. They don't believe in America's allies. They support America's enemies in Russia and North Korea. So, how do you convince countries to join NATO when NATO's largest member can no longer be? And frankly, if you're European, do not trust us to come to your aid. That's what I'm saying. Europe has no choice but to establish its own defense infrastructure. I mean, meaning you've got to create your own NATO. You have no choice now. America is no longer a reliable partner, period. I mean, the Republicans changed this country forever, and we now can no longer be trusted. They're one political party supports America's enemies and don't believe in defending our country. They don't believe in our values. They're not going to defend you. The Republican Party will, as of right now, with Donald Trump running it, the Republican Party will not come to you. There is a very good chance the Republican Party will not abide by its NATO agreements and will not come to your aid if the Russians invade. And that is scary. And Russia knows it, which only makes war that much more likely because Putin knows it's a good chance. I don't think you did not make a wrong choice getting into NATO, Mr. Vanilla. On the contrary, being a Swede. The French have nuclear weapons. The Brits have nuclear weapons. Russia can't touch you. Russia were to nuke you, and the Brits and the French will nuke Russia, and it's the end of the world. The Russians know it. Russia invades you, and you're going to have the British military, the Norwegian military. French is pretty good. I mean, pick some of the other ones. Turkish, in principle. In principle, the Turkish military coming to your aid? No. I think you're way safer now than you were before. You guys were on the border of a hegemonic dictator, and you finally made the right choice as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. But it's a little more dangerous because you cannot count on the Republican Party to abide by its NATO treaty obligations, which is too bad. And frankly, any obligations. I think Donald Trump has made clear that today's Republican Party cannot be counted on for any commitment America has made anywhere in the world. And that makes the world an incredibly dangerous place because if you're China or Russia, you say, there's a better chance today than yesterday that if I go to war, the Americans won't get involved if Trump is in power, right? So very scary stuff. The French can be pretty nasty. John Piper says French covert action teams rumored to be just as nasty as the Israelis and Mossad. The French police and French military have a very nasty side to them. Sort of the special, like the gendarme, not the gendarme, the CRS. There's sort of like I always forget if the CRS is like anti-riot police, or I forget what you call them. Very scary people. We had fun with them when I was living in France, but they were very scary people. They and France's like international, not secret service, but their international CIA kind of thing. It's not DGSE. What is it? Um, maybe it is Département Général de Sécurité Externelle, maybe. What's it called? DGSE, the French CIA. I'm forgetting now if that's what it's called. Somebody help me out here. What are the initials? But they can be kind of nasty. The French have a nasty side, yeah, when it comes to sort of some of that stuff. That's right, the Greenpeace boat. I forgot about that. Yeah, but David Jennings said, didn't they blow up the Greenpeace boat? But that's sort of classic France. DGSE. That's what I thought. DGSE. Yep. Thank you, Andrew. They have a nasty side. I mean, I would say it's kind of a wickedly good nasty side, but a nasty side. Not unlike the Israelis, not unlike the Brits, frankly, not unlike the Ukrainians. The Brits have got it too. I mean, like in Ukraine, the Brits have been willing to do so much more than we have. I mean, as far as I think there's probably a lot that's happened that we'll never know that the Brits have done in Ukraine. And it's going to be stuff that's way more than we did. Going into Russia, who knows what they've done, you know? But yeah. Republicans were not bad throughout American history. It's Donald Trump, literally. The Republican Party in America changed 180 degrees when Donald Trump became president. Literally. Before that, they were anti-Russian. They were strong on defense. They loved the troops. They believed in democracy, they claimed. They didn't try to violently overthrow the government. They certainly did not like America's enemies. Now they love America's enemies. The Republicans were bigger defenders of NATO than the Democrats. The Republicans were more likely to go to war to help an ally than Democrats. Democrats were the ones complaining about being in too many wars. Now it's all Republicans. It's sick. It's absolutely sick. So no, it's all Donald Trump. Literally, it's like cultish behavior where he became the party leader. He believes in nothing, and now they believe in nothing. And again, on the religious front, right? They claim to be religious conservatives. Look at Donald Trump, please, right? I mean, look at this guy in North Carolina. I mean, with the sex scandal, they don't care, right? They don't care. So we know on the religion thing, Donald Trump either proved they were lying or literally, here's the problem with Republicans. I don't know if they were lying, but I don't know what you call somebody where maybe you were telling the truth that you believed in God and it guided your views. Maybe you were telling the truth that you believed in defending American values around the world and defending America's enemies and standing up to evil around the world. The fact that, and more generally believed in morality, right? At home and at home especially. The fact that Donald Trump comes in and betrays every single one of those values, and you go, okay, we no longer believe in those values. I don't know what you call that, because I think the Republican Party did believe these things before, but there's something in terms of their constitution, meaning, their backbone kind of thing, that they can believe it and then be willing to throw it all out the window for the next good thing. I don't know what you call that. I mean, I really don't, in terms of somebody's, because I think they did mean it before, but they're also the kind of personality that they don't care. They literally have beliefs and morals and values. I mean, like for me, my morals and values don't change. They just don't, right? Over time, maybe, right? But they don't change because I met somebody new and go, oh yeah, I don't believe in anything I used to believe in, right? That's insane. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It is cultish, but I'm not quite understanding if it's amorality or what it is, because I do think they believed these things before, and now they just couldn't care less. They couldn't care less. Yeah. Very scary, but as I said, it means you can trust Democratic governments at this point. You cannot trust Republican governments, and at some point there will be a Republican president again. You cannot trust them. They would have to literally repudiate Donald Trump the same way the Argentines and the Brazilians repudiated the junta, after the 1980s. It's like, or the Greeks, well, the Greeks would repudiate the junta anyway. They weren't happy with that group. But they would literally have to, have a public burning of Donald Trump's memory. And I don't think it's ever going to happen. Can't ever believe, Well, Corey, what do you want me to tell you? You don't believe in America. You support America's enemies. You don't like the military. You hate the military. Donald Trump called them suckers and losers. He called our killed in action and prisoners of war suckers and losers, and you don't care. What does that say about you? Okay? Donald Trump screwed a porn star right after his wife gave birth. If a Democrat did that, you would write that person off so quickly it wouldn't be funny, but because it's a Republican, you're fine with it. What does that say about you? You talk about Kamala Harris, okay? Right? Donald Trump convicted of 34 felonies. You don't care. He tried to violently overthrow the government. You don't care. He tried to repeatedly steal the election with false electors and by leaning on election officials and is being prosecuted. You don't care. He stole classified information from the White House, refused to return it. Joe Biden didn't do that. You don't care. So honestly, you're surprised that people support Kamala Harris. Unfortunately, you are a perfect example. You're a perfect example of what I have just described about people who claim they believe in these values, and then when their favorite leader breaks all the values, rather than turning on the leader, they turn on their values. So I just don't have a lot of respect for that. So, and I don't think people should. Anyway, California is not a battleground state. No. Pennsylvania is. California would not be considered a battleground state. No. Anyway, it's 6:20, guys. We may not go on too long here. Donald Trump isn't better than Kamala Harris. Again, if you have any respect for this country, any respect for values and morality and America and our military, again, guys, he's repeatedly called the military suckers and losers, and you guys are fine with that. Say, well, but better than the other guy. No, he's not. I mean, I don't know. Do you guys not like her because she's black? Do you not like her because she's a woman? Because otherwise, who cares, right? Nikki Haley, I wouldn't vote for Nikki Haley, but she's a hell of a lot better than Donald Trump. I mean, to say like, oh, no, nobody's better than Donald Trump. Kamala Harris, give me a break. She's too liberal for you. That's fine. But let's not pretend that somehow that makes it okay for you to support a guy who literally tried to violently overthrow the government. I'm sorry, but that's just sick. It's just sick. And it's the Russia stuff already been proven. Trump loves it. Oh, Russia, nothing was proven. Everything was proven. Everything was proven. His own son welcomed Russian interference in our election. You people would have been the first people on the planet to say those people should be imprisoned for doing that and never allowed to step foot in the White House. And suddenly, you're okay inviting foreign governments to interfere in our election. The Russians, of all people, who are our historic enemy. Give me a break. No, I mean, it's just on every level, unfortunately, today's Republican Party is a cult. I mean, it is. Well, I think here's the thing with the insurrection. Stop worrying about what cultists feel about what Donald Trump does. The fact that Trump supporters don't care that he's a felon doesn't mean voters in the middle don't care, right? The fact that Trump supporters don't care that Donald Trump killed abortion in this country, took away women's right to abortion, doesn't mean that women don't care. I think, people need to stop worrying about what Trump supporters care, right? They're voting for a felon, guys. Stop caring about them. You need to be focusing on your own voters, Democrats and voters in the middle. Screw the people who want to support a cult. That's just not, you shouldn't worry about it, Man. Oh, did Marion just pop in? Little late, Marion. What have you missed? I'm about to close up. We're 20 minutes after after 6 o'clock. Registration matters. Well, because what's interesting in America too is in typical presidential elections, In a good presidential election, maybe 60 or 63% of the population votes. In a good election, 60, 63%. Thank you, Russell. It's horrible. Now in Europe, okay, I know some countries in Europe, like you're required to vote by law. Forget that. In European countries where it is not required to vote, what turnout do you have for a presidential election or a, prime ministerial election, whatever you want to call it? Thank you, Off Limits. What's the turnout in Europe? Give me some examples in some of your European countries. Voter turnout in a national election where you are not required to vote. Because in America, you're not required to vote. A good turnout is maybe 63% here. Which means, by the way, that if you can get more of those, like there's ample numbers of your own voters who aren't voting. So you can just go after them if you want. You don't even have to go after the Republicans. Between 50 and 80. No, so 50 is bad like the Americans. 80 is, we don't get 80. 80 is outstanding. Somebody's got to pull it up. Emil is asking how many voted last presidential percentage, or what was the turnout? I can't use my phone and stuff because I'm using it for you guys. Does somebody want to ask? Actually, I can. Alexa, what was the percentage turnout in the 2020 presidential election?
This might answer your question. Joe Biden won the 2020 U.S. presidential election with 51.4% of the vote.
No, Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Alexa, what percentage of the American electorate voted in 2020?
Sorry, I don't know.
She's an idiot. I don't think 66 is a little high, JJ. You think it's 66? I'm going to guess 63, 64. Maybe 66. That sounds a little high to me. Oh, okay. Shay is saying 66 too. Okay. UK is 59.7. Now that's interesting because I assumed like all the European countries would be much better than ours. So it is 66. That's very good, actually. Wow. 59% in the UK. Oh my God. See, Germany 76. That's where it gets interesting. 77, 78 in Norway. That's interesting. 75 Norway. Yeah. 66 for us is huge. That's very interesting. Now, we do know there was good turnout because remember Trump's trick in 2020? More people voted for me than voted for me even before in 2016. I must have won. Yes, Sherlock. Well, the way elections work isn't that you got more votes than you did last time. It's that you got more votes than your opponent did this time. So yes, Trump got more votes in 2020 than he got in 2016. The problem is Joe Biden got even more votes. But he, again, because he's a pathological liar, he presented it to everybody as that proved that he won. I got more votes than ever. You did. And you still didn't get as many as the other guy. That's the way it works. 66.8%. That's pretty good. I mean, for an American election, that's pretty good. Average is 72% for Netherlands. Yeah, that's better than here. 66. Okay, so it is 66. All right. Oh boy. Marion, people were saying about the certification delay, a couple things. Marion was asking, maybe this will be the last question about Georgia. So they're playing games in Georgia, the Republicans are, to try to slow down the vote count. For example, they're going to require votes to be counted by hand, which will slow it down. They're going to they're going to empower local election officials, Republicans, to say, gosh, I just don't think that result is correct. I know we counted that many for Kamala Harris. My stomach tells me it's not right. We're going to hold off on reporting the results. First of all, if you're holding off on reporting Kamala Harris being the winner, that helps Donald Trump right there. Eventually, by the way, think about this. The way again, I don't want to go through this for the European, even for the Americans, this is a little hard to understand. If the Republicans are able to stop Georgia from turning in its election results to Washington, D.C., Georgia's votes will no longer be counted. There's now a new threshold for the presidency. The threshold for the presidency is a majority of the electoral votes. Georgia's now no longer part of the majority anymore. The majority drops. And all of a sudden, Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump is still where he is, but if the majority starts dropping and dropping and dropping, Trump now has the majority. That's one reason why they would hold up the vote. Another reason is the Trumpers are hoping that, and they know, typically Republicans vote the day of the election. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Eileen. Democrats vote early. The early vote takes longer to count. One of the things they're hoping is that they count basically, well, for example, they could count all the Trump stuff first. And which, by the way, last time they said they were going to do this, they knew the Trump votes would come in first. They were going to claim victory at 10 o'clock at night, knowing that all the votes weren't in. And then the next morning, when people woke up and saw the Democrat was ahead, they'd say, they cheated. We were ahead. If they can slow down the Republican votes, they can slow down the Democratic votes, maybe they can get those Republican votes coming in first, slow down the Democratic ones in the Democratic counties, and now Donald Trump wins that night. I mean, we all know he didn't win because only 30% of the vote is in, or whatever. And then the next morning, or the next 2 days or 3 days, again, really drag it out, right? Donald Trump was ahead that night. And now you're telling me it took you 7 days to count the votes, and suddenly 7 days later, you're telling me Kamala Harris really won? What did you do in those 7 days? That's why they're doing it. I mean, that's that, but also maybe they don't report the votes at all and they get Trump to win. That's what they wanted to do last time as well. No, I was trying to figure it out. And I think I was talking to somebody who finally explained it. I went, that kind of makes sense. Yeah. It's crazy. Again, it's horrible what they're doing. Anyway. All right, guys, I'm going to go. I've got to go find some food. I'm hungry. It's been an hour and a half. I will be back tomorrow. Thank you for joining us, guys. We do this every night, 6 o'clock Eastern time, U.S. We talk about the U.S. election. We talk about the war in Ukraine. I will be back again tomorrow. Join us. Join my mods. Join our regulars. Thank you, regular subscribers. I appreciate all of your guys' support. Thank you, gifters, including Russell, who just gave a last-minute gift there. Thank you, guys. And yeah, come back tomorrow. All right, I'll be here, yawning and everything as usual. With my broken light. So, all right, guys, see you all tomorrow. All right, have a good night. Oops, there we go for YouTube. There it is. All right.